Hey guys, welcome to the Wednesday at Cardone University Mastermind. My name is Steve Sprague, coming to you live from the 305. Okay guys, welcome. This is the first Mastermind of 2019. So very excited to have you guys back. What we're going to be talking about today is tips, like the actual tricks behind, hey, how do I actually take in Cardone University and study it and know it and actually be able to apply it with every customer, every phone call, every follow-up strategy, every negotiating situation that I get into. How am I going to be able to use these tools? Okay, so I'm going to talk about how to be successful with that. I'm going to talk about the tips. I'm going to talk to you about some of the things that we do here personally to really dig into the actual Grant Cardone material so that way we can start to duplicate what Grant does. So he lays it out for you inside the university, but how do you get to a point where you know it? And so that's where it's going to be important for you, because I'm sure you're writing down all your goals right now. You probably spent a lot of time over the past couple of days just figuring out, hey, what am I doing in 2019? What's going to be the big goals that we're going to hit? What's the team targets? Okay, where are we going in 2019? But if you guys aren't getting your training right, then you're probably going to fall short on some of those goals. And so what I want to do is I want to prepare you for everything you need to know about how to learn this material. That way all your goals come to fruition in 2019. Okay, so we're excited to have you here. And guys, if you want to call in, that number right up there, 305-865-8668. That's the number. Call in and give us your questions, give us your challenges, any type of problems, anything you have, we will handle that. Okay, so if you guys are taking notes at home, I'm going to give you a couple of things that we do here. And, you know, some of the things that have helped me get to a point where, man, I really know what Grant would do in a situation like that. And not even to a point where, oh, I know what Grant would say. It's like, man, when I'm there in the situation, like, I'm saying it just like what Grant would do and say it, right? And that's what you want to know. So, number one, write this down. Okay, I want you guys to write this down. Do not just learn to learn. Okay, you want to learn to know. Okay, you want to learn to know. If you know it, you will use it. Okay, let me give you an example. Man, I had this guy the other day. I was on the phone with, and he was talking to me. He's like, man, I got all Grant's audios on Audible. He's like, and I listened to them at 1.5 or 2, and I'm like, are you bragging, or are you like, what are you talking about there? I mean, it sounds like you're telling me that you're just telling me that you don't know how to learn. Right? And so when you do that, like, just because you check mark the box doesn't mean you know it. So, man, I could go on and listen to audios at 3x, or man, I could listen to them at 100x, man. Just because I check mark the box doesn't mean I know it. So what I want to talk about is, look, learn to know, which means that there's going to be a few things you need to do when you study to make sure that you're picking up this information, because you're taking a lot of inflow, you're watching the videos, but were you paying attention? Did you understand everything Grant was talking about? I'm talking about all the words. I'm talking about when he says prospecting, follow-up. I'm talking about any key terms that he talks about. He uses APES. He uses DBM, right? When you hear that, you need to figure out, do I know what DBM stands for? And have I done the training on how to get a DBM, right? Because if not, you're not going to understand what he's talking about. So it's going to be a waste of watching that. You're going to get confused. So I want you to first write down, learn to know. And that may require that you have to go back and rewatch a video 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I will tell you that as of today, this morning, and pretty much like every other morning, I'll watch some of the same videos back to back. I'll go back and be like, hey, you know what? I need to go back and rewatch that exact same one and like re-listen to it. Okay? Because I'm going to be honest with myself. I'm going to be like, hey, did I get everything out of that one segment Grant was talking about? Could have been 60 seconds. Could have just been about motivation. I need to, hey, let me move that back a little bit so I can go back and find out, hey, did I understand everything there? Was I checked in when I watched it? Right? So just because you passed the test doesn't mean you know it. So I want to encourage you guys to really be honest with yourself about, hey, do I know this good enough to where, hey, I'm going to be able to use this? Because it would be more important for you to be able to do that on just one video than to watch 100 videos and not know how to apply the information, right? It's like my boy that was doing the He was doing the audios on extra speed. I'm like, well, dude, what's the first rule of selling? What do you mean? I'm like, well, dude, you listen to Sell or Be Sold, right? Yeah. Well, dude, if you don't know the first rule of selling, then you don't know the material. So the first thing he talked about, right? So learn to know. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about, we got a couple callers?
Yep, we got 5 callers.
Oh, wow. Dude, okay, well, now that we're loaded up with callers, let me go ahead and take one before I come back to some of these.
Yeah, you got Jesus in Texas.
My man, Jesus, the painter. What's up, buddy?
Hey, Steve. How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm doing unbelievable. How are you doing?
I'm very well, sir. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Let me ask you this, man. Did you go back through that Master the Cold Call training?
Yeah, I did it twice.
You did it twice? That's the right thing to do.
I started the course.
Yeah, that's the right thing to do, man. So listen. So I've been talking to Jesus about, repetition and actually going back through the material, like really digging in, because he's got all of his attention on cold calling right now. Okay, so what question do you have? What question do you have this week?
No, just role play with you, practice, so you can hit
it. Role play.
Evaluate me with.
Yeah, let's hit it, man. Role play.
Okay.
Let me hear your new pitch.
Huh?
Let me hear your pitch.
Okay.
Hello.
I knock at your door.
Yeah, hello.
Good morning. My name is Jesus. I own a painting company. The reason I'm here is because I want to show you how you can explode the value of your home and live the great experience of having a fresh and brand new look. To be sure, I'm not wasting your time. Do you own this home?
I do.
Okay, good. Excellent. When was the last time you updated the paint here?
Yeah, we just updated it, like 9 years ago.
9 years ago?
Yeah.
Oh, great. If you were going to paint your home, what improvements would you do?
I don't know if we would, but if we painted the house, the wife's always talking about the kitchen.
Excuse me. I didn't get it.
The kitchen. The wife's always talking about the kitchen.
The kitchen?
Yeah, but how much does it cost?
Excuse me?
How much does it cost?
Well, it depends on several factors. If you like,
See, there you go, man. You got to get it down, man. You got to get it down, that way you're ready to go. You got to know what they're gonna say. Okay, so predictability and knowing that, hey, I'm gonna walk up, and if they like it, they're probably gonna ask, how much is it? Or what are your rates? Okay, so what do you want to do? What's the first rule of selling?
Always agree with you.
Always agree, right? So I'm going to automatically go in, right? So the guy's like, hey, how much does it cost? Great question, man. That's why I wanted to drop by today, just to get you a free quote. I want to get you a free consultation, man. That's a great question. Thank you. Right? So, and then that's when, so you guys got to look for the buying signals, right? You got to look for the interest signals, right? Like, hey, how much does it cost? Dude, like, why would I even ask that if I wasn't slightly interested, right?
Yeah, that is a real sign that you are a buyer.
Totally. Totally. Thanks a lot for calling in, dude. Thanks a lot. So listen, guys, for that, Jesus, what you want to do, man, is get that pitch down tight. You want to role play that. Now, one of the other keys to actually being successful with Cardone University is role play. You're doing a lot of inflow, right? You're watching videos every single day. I've got to get it out. Like, I got to practice it. I got to sit down. And if you don't have somebody to role play with, you want to role play that with yourself, right? So when I first came to work for Grant, I didn't have a big team of people to role play with. So Grant grabbed a chair and he said, hey, dude, sit right here next to the wall. And I was actually up against the wall like this, role playing to the wall like that. And I was pitching. So if you got to do that at your house, if you got to do that in your bathroom mirror, like if you got to do it, like how bad do you want it? Okay? And if you're sitting down, you're looking at it, you're like, dude, this is ridiculous, then I want you to acknowledge yourself on how interested you are in getting better, because this is what it takes. This is the type of requirement that it takes to get good at this, right? Because if not, you're going to show up like my man Jesus. He knocks on the door, he's got a good pitch, but then they throw him something and then he doesn't know where to go from there. or maybe he doesn't see the buying signal, right? So that's where you guys want to get this down. So great question from him, learn to know. And what I want to do is I want to talk to you guys about, you know, I'm going to jump to one of these here where we talk about correction. Okay, so one of the ways to use this for correction, like we just used the guy walking up, knocking on the door, and he got a question like, hey man, what, you know, guys, if you blow your pitch, if you get an objection, no problem. Come back to the training program for correction. Now let me show you where you can actually do some of this. So if you show my screen here, what you want to look for is, hey, where did that happen? Right? So where did that happen? So when you come in here and where he actually had seen that was on the cold call, right? So I'm going to go into my Cardone University here. I'm going to scroll down and he's inside the cold call. And, you know, maybe he's still needing to tighten up his pitch, but he got some like market data, you know, from the marketplace. The marketplace said, how much does it cost? Like you guys want to start listening to that. You want to start listening to, hey, what are people saying when I give my pitch? And then you want to come down like, now that wasn't really an objection. That wasn't really an objection. He was still kind of just like working through his cold call process. So I would go back and I would figure out right here, hey, I'm in the middle of my pitch. How can I make this stronger and move into that qualify and fact finding right there? Because I dropped my big claim. Hey man, I'm going to make this place awesome for you. You're going to love it. It's going to be a brand new experience, right? And then he needed to move in more for this qualifying fact finding so he can close on an actual appointment. Right? So now what you want to do is a trick to learning Cardone University is number one, daily training. Right? Daily training every single day. But number two, write this down, daily correction. Daily correction. So what my man needs to do is go back right now, identify exactly where he was when maybe he fumbled in his speech, where maybe he slipped and like it wasn't that good. Like I'm not talking about where the deal blew out, you know, because he probably could have got through. Some people was not going to kick him off the porch. And he's going to get through his presentation a little bit, and then they're going to be like, hey, man, we're not interested. But if you go all the way back to the very beginning, it happened in the fumble of his presentation. Go back to that exact time. And with 1,500 training segments in the program, Grant covers everything. So identify where that was and just know, hey, this is where I'm breaking down in my presentation. This is where I can get better. This is where I can actually drill in. If I can know this part, it's going to help me transition to the next step. Okay, so daily training and daily correction. That's what you want to use this program for. I'm going to take another caller.
All right, you got Taylor in Maryland.
Taylor in Maryland, how's it going?
Good, brother. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing awesome. Doing awesome. What type of industry are you in?
We're in like business to business marketing.
Love that. Love that, man. What question do you have for me today?
Yeah. So, what are you guys measuring for the KPIs in your CRM to predict lead conversion?
Dials, talk time, appointments, demos. You know, obviously revenue, but you know, without all those, you know, we can't get to the revenue. So those are pretty much
the first one you said.
Dials, the amount of outflow. Like so there's a term that we use here: outflow equals inflow. Right. So we look at like what type of outflow. Number one, dials. Like we got to have dials, right? So like I'm not going to get appointments without hundreds and thousands of dials, right? So we've got a whole sales team back there. We got 20 guys just making phone calls, contacting people. And they're contacting different people too. You know, they're contacting cold market. They're contacting a warm market. But what they're doing is they're actually digging in. They're doing the outflow. And then from the amount of dials, like we got to hit a certain amount of dials per day. And then we got to get to a certain amount of appointments per day. That is going to give us a certain amount of demos. And just based off the numbers and the calculation, we know that if we do a certain amount of appointments every day, we're going to end up with the target we're looking to hit. And then what we're doing from there is just getting more efficient with the outflow.
Right. So you guys I'd hear that you guys actually turn off your computers while you're dialing and you just go straight and hit the list.
Yeah, I used to. So when I had my sales team like 2 or 3 years ago, before we had the dialers and before we really had that technology, we were hand dialing, right? And what happened, so the reason why you've seen that video, and we were doing that for a while, was because I would have guys pause from making dials, and they'd be putting together some like fancy email. And I'd be walking over and I'd be like, dude, what are you doing right now? You know? And he's like, well, I'm sending out an email. And I'm like, well, dude, it takes maybe 8 seconds to send out an email. And if it's any longer than 8 seconds, then you got too much in the email and you're just over communicating to them, right? And so I finally made the guys turn their computers around and just hit the dials. And that was before we had a dialer, though.
Right.
So.
Oh, you got it, brother. Thank you.
But yeah, so are you guys tracking right now? Or what are you guys tracking? Oh, he's off? Okay, good. So guys, listen, this is what you want to look at. Like the question that he had come in was, he's like, hey, how do I actually track? What are you guys tracking over there? What are you monitoring? You know, if you guys did the jumpstart, the New Year jumpstart that Grant talked about, he said, look, if it is important, keep a statistic on it. Okay, so you want to keep a statistic on your training as well. You want to make sure that the amount of segments that you're training on every day is pretty close to the same. So I'm not doing 15 segments one day and 1 segment the next day, and 38 segments the next day and 4 segments the next day. I'm right around the like 6 to 8, maybe 10, right? Depending on the videos. Okay, and I'm watching some of them once or twice, right? So I'm learning. I care more about knowing the information than I care about just my manager, Grant, knowing that I trained. I actually don't even care if he knows that I trained. I would rather be able to say, hey, Grant, dude, check out the deals that keep going up on the board. Okay, that's because I'm studying your stuff, man. That's because I'm digging in, okay? You don't need to see the report at that point. But for you, you need to be able to track and monitor. You should stay the same. So here's some tricks that I use. Number one, I do my training every single day at the exact same time. If you don't do it at the same time, you're going to get squirrely on it. I'm just telling you. So, you know, we've had it before where we tried to, you know, back in the day, we would say, hey, just make sure you get your 6 segments in per day. Okay, so some people would do it before work, some people would do it after work. Okay, it was just too squirrely. And I started to notice people weren't learning as quick. I'm like, man, some people are doing really good on it, and some people it's like, I got to explain stuff to them. Dude, do your training segments every single day, first thing in the morning. I wake up, and that's the first thing that I do. Okay, I'm sitting there, I'm doing my training. Okay, sometimes I'll squeeze in some breakfast with it, but for the most part, I'm paying a lot of attention because I want that to kick my day off. Okay, so I'm going to do roughly the same amount of segments. I'm going to do about the same amount of time. I'm going to do it the exact same time every single day. And then what I'm also going to do is I'm going to learn in the right gradient. So if you're taking notes, a tip is to learn in the right gradient. So let me show you this. Okay, there's a couple different ways that you could do this. And if you're inside the program, what you want to do is with your, like, just say today's day 1 for you, you want to go left to right, top to bottom. Because what's going to happen is if you don't understand all of the things Grant talks about in the fundamentals, if you don't understand all of the fundamentals, the axioms, the like stable things, like when I drop, hey guys, what's the first rule of selling? Most people say, hey, it's always agree with the customer. Like if you don't know that and you're like, hey, let's go down here to mastering objections and I'm going to go straight into, we're already working with somebody else and you don't know the first rule of selling, some of this may not even make sense to you. Right, so learning at the proper gradient. Now I'm looking at the full curriculum right now of Cardone University. So left to right and top to bottom would be the right way to do it. Now the other thing that you could possibly do is if you're in the certifications. So the certifications, the way they're set up, Business Builder, 7-figure sales certification, the phone sales certification, the advanced sales and negotiation certification, the 10X financial freedom. Wherever you're at, grab one, right? Let's just say you're in phone sales. I got my man Jesus, he's in phone sales, right? So what you want to do is you want to pull this up. Now, I'm going to go left to right, top to bottom, and I am going to study this. I am here to learn to know this. I don't want to just check mark the box, man, I got Grant Cardone certified. I would rather know that, dude, I know what Grant Cardone would say if he was on day 12 follow-up. I know exactly what Grant Cardone would say if a customer told him that they're not interested, right? That's what you want to know. So you want to learn at the right gradients right here, left to right, top to bottom, And that's going to be one of the tricks to actually learning. So I'm going to go ahead and take another caller.
All right, you got Aaron in North Carolina.
Aaron in North Carolina, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Dude, I'm doing incredible. Doing incredible, man. Are you coming down to the 10X Growth Con?
You know what? I happen to have a no, I'm not. I have my own mastermind meeting that weekend scheduled for my mastermind group.
That's awesome, dude. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
The only other place that would be better than your mastermind is at Grant Cardone's mastermind, man, at the 10X Growth Con.
Right? Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would
or
be.
Like a couple days before. I bought my early tickets and didn't know when it was scheduled, and had to go ahead and schedule mine first, so it just conflicted.
Nice, nice, man. Well, what can I help you out with this week?
Well, it's a good topic. I'm working on selling people into my mastermind program and keeping them there.
Okay.
I'm not really having trouble, getting people to join.
Yep.
The trouble is lately, so I pre-frame them, and then we'll get on a strategy call, and with pre-framing, my closing rate is really high, 75-80% of the time. When I get on a call with people, I close them in. One of the themes that's happened this year, and I just want to know your thoughts on this, is that people are saying to me, "Hey, I want more of your one-on-one time," and they're saying, "Oh, I didn't get results," or "I thought I was going to have more time with you," or and when they say they're not getting results, they're actually not doing the work. But I guess the problem is, I've got a call today and a call tomorrow for two people that were getting ready to say, "Well, I don't know if I want to re-up, or I don't want to, go beyond one person a year, one person beyond 3 months, because I'm not getting the one-on-one time with you possible. And in the mastermind group, I can't give all my one-on-one time. I have to be able to, sell the result, not my time." And when you come up with this, it's almost like, am I looking for a downsell? Am I looking just to sell them back into it? And, and that's kind of where I'm at. It's like I'm getting ready to get on a call with someone to see, did she do the work, and either keep her in it or sell her into a more expensive one-on-one.
Yeah.
Versus just my mastermind. So I just want to get your thoughts, and if there's any information you think would be pertinent, I would be happy to share it.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. And these are good problems to have, dude. So what I would tell you, and we've had, some of these same things that we've dealt with. I'm going to give you a category, actually, that I want you to study today. And it's going to be, can you show my screen real quick? If you guys go into the category where it says understanding the buyer. Now, I'm having you do this for a specific reason real quick. And the one that I want you to look at is this course right here. It's only 6 segments. It's called The Price Myth. And the reason why I want you to go through here is just because I know exactly what's inside here. And I know exactly, some of the questions that you were asking there are going to be covered in some of these topics right here, where you got people that are like, man, they're getting ready to come off your program. It didn't work. It's probably a lot of it was them. It wasn't you. But you got to figure out, hey, how do I get them back resold and get them back on a product? And do we go lower? Do we go higher? This program talks a lot about it, the Price Myth. Okay, so now I'm gonna answer that. Just what I would say. Number one, if they're not using it, I would bump them up on something, right? So they want more of your time. You always want to say yes to it, but that doesn't mean that you're probably not doing it because your time is a little bit more valuable in different places, and you're like, dude, I can't do this for everybody, right? So you need to say yes, but you need to raise up your prices, right? So raise up your one-on-one, and that's going to be important too, because when you raise up those prices, look, it says a lot about you. It says a lot about, it even gives them more confidence in oh, wow, this guy's prices are going up. Dude, his stuff must be working, right? So it gets them recommitted, and probably a lot of the uncertainties that they have are not with you. They're probably with themselves, right? They bought into your program and they didn't use it, just like you said.
Right.
So what I want to do is
go
ahead.
Okay. So I was just saying, so right now it's $1,500 a month or $15,000 for the year for my mastermind program.
Okay.
And would you say just offer them, hey, we'll do a one-on-one, but it's $20,000 a year paid in full kind of thing, and let them choose? Or
I'd double your rates, dude. you know, 30 grand, you know, like who are you dealing with?
Mm-hmm.
Are you dealing with like business owners?
These are business owners. They're physical therapy business owners.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I mean, if it's like if your program is as good as you say it is at 1,000, it's as good as you say it is at 2,000 per month, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly, dude. It's, you know what I mean? Like what we charge for Cardone University, dude. We charge like $2 grand a month. Like, dude, if we charge $4 grand a month, it's still a freaking crazy deal, right?
Right.
And so what I would look at is I would say yes to it, because you want to make sure that it's hey, you know what? If somebody says yes to it, I want to feel good about doing it. Right? Like I want to be excited about servicing that customer, right? If they don't pay enough for it and you're like doing this deal that's like not really paying you much, and you're like, man, I don't know if this is the right thing for my business as a whole, then you're not going to feel good about it. And you're not going to give them everything. But if they pay enough to get like your full attention, your full interest, like hey, I'm going to make this thing unbelievable for you, you and the client both win, right? So I would just say, I'd say double it, man. Just say double it, see what happens. You know, it's that way you can say yes. That way you're not like, no, I can't do the one-on-ones, right? And then there's something else I was going to tell you, because you mentioned, what's your program, your Mastermind, where you said people might be getting out of it because they're like not using it?
Yeah, so yes, it's this Mastermind program where they get access to all my courses. We meet 3 times a year. We do a weekly Q&A call. Once a month, it's a master class.
Yeah. People need to be held accountable, dude. Like that's some of the things that they'll pay for. I'd try to upsell them to like a phone call every week. Like, hey, dude, it's an extra $50 a month, but I'm gonna give you a 5-minute phone call every week to figure out where you're at. Boom, you know, and then all of a sudden you kind of bump your package up an extra, you know, $500 or $600, right? But what I would do, here's what I would do. So let's get back to Cardone University and how this is gonna help you. Inside, which program do you have, by the way? Do you have the full Cardone?
For Cardone University?
Yeah.
I have most of it. I got it the Black Friday special, so I think it's got a lot of the stuff.
Okay. Okay. So what I would look at, so there's going to be a program that Grant has. It's called Mastering Objections. So Mastering Objections, just so you guys know, is an unbelievable program that digs deep into how do I communicate with customers when there's any type of resistance. So whether that's in a meet and greet, whether that's in you trying to get more information from them as you're qualifying, or maybe they're trying to duck out of a contract, or maybe, you know, this program really sets it up. And there's a key phrase that Grant uses in here. So I'll show you that this program is definitely what you would want to study right now. But I'll tell you, he uses the phrase, he says, hey, so other than blank, is there any other reason you wouldn't do it? And so I'll show you how to use that. What's the objection they're giving you when they want to quit?
Right now with these 2 people, it was, one of them was like, you know, I thought I was going to get more of your time. Basically the common one. And one of them said, one of those 2 said she wasn't getting any results in the last 2 months. But they both said, you know, I thought when I signed up there was going to be more one-on-one time with you. Yeah,
excellent, man. I love that. And other than the one-on-one time, is there any other reason why you wouldn't continue to do it?
To them?
Yeah, that's what you want to say to them, right? So you want to start.
Other than one-on-one time, is there any other reason you wouldn't continue to do it? Got it.
You know, so this is where you want to start to dig into like, hey, what's the real problem? And because this could be a situation where, you know, like they need some extra attention, right? Maybe we landed them on the wrong package. We sold them the package. Like this happens to us all the time. Like you bought the Black Friday sale, right? Dude, a lot of people bought the Black Friday sale. A lot of business owners bought the Black Friday sale. Okay, it's one user, it's one username and password. It's nothing compared to what we do as like, if you're a company, right, where we put everybody on it. We call you every week. We make sure that you guys are doing well, like similar to what you do, right? So sometimes people buy the package and we got to call them up to say, hey man, are you on the right package? You know, man, we've actually got a different offer that could be better for you. I want to show it to you. And that's when you take them up a package. Because this is what Grant talks about in his training. He says the only reason anybody buys anything is because if it solves a problem. And maybe your smaller package doesn't solve the problem for them, but your bigger package, the one-on-one, the $30,000 a year package where you're like, hey, you know what, dude, I'm going to spend some time with you. I'm going to increase your business by 300 grand this year. Like, now that solves a problem that gets me excited. And it would probably get them excited as well, right? To where they would want to get more invested into the training. Does that make sense?
Got it.
Good, man. Any other questions?
Absolutely. That's it for right now. Thank you very much.
Good deal, man. Yeah, give me a call back in like a week or two, man. Let me know what's happening with that. I'd love to hear it. Okay, so guys, we went over a couple different tips today, different tricks, things. It's not difficult. It's really train every single day, stay consistent, come back for actual correction, right? So if you guys are taking notes, train every day, consistency, correction. We talked about learning to know. Make that commitment that you invested in this program and you were here to learn it, to know it. So just because you go through doesn't mean you know it. So don't be afraid to go back and restudy one video. Don't be afraid to press pause and say, hey, what did he say right there? What was that word he just used? I'm going to go look that up. Don't be afraid to do that because, again, you want to learn to know it. Okay, the other thing, learn at the right gradient. You know, you can skip around to any video you want to, and that's great, and you can do that. You know, that's for correction, right? But for the long-term learning, you want to be able to learn at the right gradient. So, you know, go step by step through the certification or go step by step through the actual full curriculum, right? Like that's the way you want to learn. And then I'm going to get down to number 4. This is what I'm always looking at, okay? I'm looking at a salesperson's like cycle of action, right? So you've got, you know, maybe if like you mock up a clock, right? And at 12 o'clock, you've got Steve sitting here, and I got no deal. I'm an excited salesperson. I'm ready to like start generating a deal. Okay, so I get on the phones. Okay, by the time my clock gets to 3 o'clock, I'm maybe talking to people. I'm setting appointments and starting to get some demos. By 6 o'clock, I'm presenting demos. By 9 o'clock, I'm negotiating them, and then I close them, and I'm back up to 12 o'clock, where I'm back to no more deals, right? Because I closed the deals that I went out, I prospected, I got in front of people. So this is where I see a lot of salespeople not starting back over at like, hey, how did I get that deal? Oh, I made a bunch of cold calls. I knocked on some doors. I got in front of people. I started calling back all my clients and asking them for referrals, right? So I want you to really keep a list of like, hey, what works? And know, like when you get deals, to start that cycle of action back over, man. It's like a clock that just keeps going. So like you got to go back to filling up the pipeline. Now, when you're doing that, when you're focused, when you're in a certain stage of, you know, full pipeline or not full pipeline, right? Let's just say you don't have a full pipeline. Dude, I need to go back and figure out, hey, where are the deals at? And you need to go into some programs. Let me show you this right here. So like if I don't have any deals right now, I'm going to go back and I'll find out, hey, am I calling warm clients right now? Am I prospecting for warm clients, or am I doing cold calls? And I want all my attention on this. I don't need to train on closing right now. I don't have anybody to close. You know, so for my step-by-step learning throughout the long-term process, that's fine. But what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to start going back and saying, hey, you know what, man, I'm empty pipeline. I got to get back. I got to go back and say, hey, what's Grant doing to prepare for the call? You know, what's Grant Cardone doing to prepare for the call? So that way I can, do the math. Have I done the math right now? I remember I did the math before. I got some deals. That was 3 months ago. Now I need to go back and redo the math. Hey, how many calls did it take me to get X amount of deals? Maybe I need to make more calls if I want to double those deals, right? Build your list. Get new lists. It's so important, man. If you're still hammering the same old list of people, if you're still out knocking doors in the same neighborhood, if, you know, you're not refilling and building a new list, then it's going to be tough for you. Okay, so go back. So just know where you're at in the actual cycle for the salesperson. Okay, I'm going to take the last caller here.
Yep, you've got Christian in Connecticut.
Christian in Connecticut, how's it going? Hey, Christian, how's it going?
Hey, Steve, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, man. What type of business are you in?
Insurance.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And what question do you have this week?
Yeah, so we spoke briefly last week. I was asking you about when you would recommend incorporating the role play.
Yep.
for myself and a couple of agents at my company.
Yeah.
And so I also purchased Cardone University for Black Friday, and I wanted to ask you where you'd recommend I start. Essentially, in our business, we do a lot of phone calls. We call leads, and then we normally would schedule a in-person appointment or a phone appointment to actually get them enrolled. So we do have a lot of objections that we try to overcome, and things like that. So I'm just not really sure where in the Cardone University you'd recommend to start focusing.
I always start at the very beginning. Like that's what I always suggest, because that's what I did. And I actually I currently go back to like selling basics all the time, because this is why. And I'll tell you, because I know you're probably thinking like, you know, dude, I got my own business, like I'm making a little bit of money, but like, why do I need to go back to selling basics? Remember this thing right here. Learn to know. You know, you do want to get deals today, but like this is going to be a lifetime of learning for you. And so some of the first things that Grant talks about are some of the keys to what he's going to talk about later on in the program. So I'm showing my computer real quick. I'm in selling basics. I would tell you straight up, go to this part right here and do this first, right? So you'll be able to get through this whole program, selling basics, very quickly. It shouldn't take you more than like a week or two just to get through this. And what you want to learn, because you're going to learn a lot of things like, hey, what's the difference between a professional and an amateur? I can tell you that I was in sales for, let's see, 5 years before I ever had any type of training. And I was just going through this program. I was the biggest freaking amateur on the entire planet.
Right.
Okay. And I was doing good in the companies that's the funny thing. I was doing okay in the companies that I was working at, right? But if you don't understand this stuff, it's going to be tough. And so you want to get this down. And Grant talks about, dude, how do you create time? Grant talks about massive action. He talks about how to apply it. You know, there's 9 videos on it. So there's a lot of really important things. And then he goes directly into this program right here, which is one of the most valuable programs in the whole thing, Understanding the Buyer. And like you want to know this first. Like we just got off a call with my one guy, Aaron. You know, Aaron was asking some great questions. Aaron was talking about, hey, dude, I'm negotiating deals. I'm trying to get more people in my mastermind. Do I double my sales? I brought him all the way back here to the beginning where I was like, hey, I'm going to tell you that a lot of the questions you're asking, they're sitting right here in Understanding the Buyer. Because if he did understand the buyer right now, he would have known right off the bat, oh, that person that's trying to quit, we're just not solving a problem for him. We need to raise the problem up.
Right.
Right? And then even when, like you said, hey, we get a lot of objections. Right? Well, the first thing that you need to know before even anything about handling objections is this part right here, the magic of agreement. Because if you don't understand this part right here, then you're going to miss a lot. You're actually going to miss a lot of what Grant's talking about in the objection handling. So I would tell you to go all the way back to the beginning, you know, and start at the very beginning of the curriculum. So, you know what?
Sounds good.
Yeah, so that's what I would do, man. And that's a great question too, because a lot of people come into this and you're probably already doing all right. Like you've got a team, you're cranking, you invest in the program because you're like, hey, how do I get to the next level? And I would just tell you that, man, start this program at the beginning. That way you don't miss any of Grant's rules, you know, any of Grant's fundamental strategies, right? So hopefully that answered your question.
Perfect.
Thanks, man. So that also brought up one other thing that I wanted to talk about. Okay, so number 5. This is going to be the last thing that I'm going to tell you for tricks, right? Grant talks a lot in the videos. He gives exercises and he gives things for you to do. Like we just got out of Understanding the Buyer and the magic of agreement. He gives you, hey, do the agreement drill. Like when we train on that as a team, we do the agreement drill together. And we do it for like 2 or 3 days. And that's where we start to break in that muscle. And people are always, you know, they'll call up and they'll get pitched by one of our guys. And I'll be like, man, your guy was good. And then they're like, dude, he's got the same stuff that you're going to have, right? So this goes back to this. Learn to know. Do the exercises. Grant's going to talk about it. Make sure you guys fully understand any of the material before you move on to the next one. Okay, so we're here to help you out. We're going to be here every Wednesday, And if you guys ever need help, call our offices. So last thing I want to let you guys know, 10xgrowthcon.com. Okay, we've got the biggest, baddest event coming up. This thing is going to be insane. Okay, every year Grant's like, hey, how do we make last year look so small, and how do we make this year look just unbelievable? So I've been sitting in on some of the plans, some of the things that they're doing. You guys want to go to 10xgrowthcon.com. We got buy one, get ones right now. We got different offers that we're giving. So bring somebody, bring a friend. If you're not going to come and you're not going to be able to make it, dude, buy a ticket for a client or a prospect. Okay? That says a lot about, because they're probably business owners. They're probably people in their lives. You send them a ticket to the 10X Growth Con, that says a lot about your interest in doing business with them. Okay, so guys, use this event, be at the event, and if we can help you out with Cardone University, let us know. We'll see you back here next Wednesday.